3 show. We've got a lot to catch up on from last week, in addition to some thrilling action lined up for the weekend ahead, so let's go ahead and jump on into things. Starting in the Central, the Cyclones have leapfrogged the Woodsmen in the division standings after sweeping their series against their Wisconsin rivals. Both Friday and Saturday's games were hard-fought 2-goal contests, the final scores being 4-2 and 3-1. Connor Dvorak and Jake Garrow were catalysts for the offense, with Dvorak racking up 3 points on the weekend and Garrow leading the way with 4. Defensively, the star of the series and week was netminder Tanner Bonjour, who stood tall between the pipes for both games. His record now stands at an impressive 16-4-0-1 on the year, placing him 3rd overall in the NA3HL for wins amongst goaltenders. In the East, the Buzz kept their dominant momentum going, extending their win streak to 6 games after a weekend sweep over the Norwich Sea Captains. Both games were thrilling 1-goal contests. However, despite the close battles, both matchups ended in regulation, meaning the Sea Captains came away empty-handed and did not earn any points towards the standings. The star for not only the series but the week as well in the East was Binghamton's Preston Peterson, who scored a trio of goals in addition to dishing out 1 assist. In the Frontier, the visiting Wild stunned the Americans on home ice, sweeping the 3rd-ranked team despite being 7th place in the division. A huge weekend for Gillette. After a 2-2 tie heading into the 3rd period of Game 1, Ty Obi put the Americans ahead 3-2, but Gillette responded with 3 unanswered goals to secure the win, including Ty Kontrick, who potted 1 goal and tallied 1 assist during the final frame. During Saturday's overtime thriller, 05 forward Brady Johnson was the hero of the game, scoring the game winner in addition to dishing out 2 assists, extending his point streak to 5 games. Down south, the Drillers and Ice Wolves series was a gritty battle, with Louisiana taking 2 out of 3 games. However, with 2 games going into overtime and a shootout, New Mexico still managed to pick up 3 valuable points in the standings. After being down 3-1 entering the final frame on Friday, the Ice Wolves turned up the heat in the 3rd, scoring 2 goals to send things to overtime. Easton Armstrong scored just his 2nd goal of the year to send Outpost Ice Arena into celebration. Games 2 and 3 would be in favor of Chris Francis and his squad, the star of the week in the final 2 games being blue liner Johnny Burnt, who racked up 7 points on the weekend, including the game-winning goal on the power play during Sunday's tilt. Finishing things up in the West, Granite City continued to dominate the Blizzard, stretching their win streak to 4 after sweeping their biggest rivals. Both games were 1-goal contests, showcasing an incredible series from both teams. During Friday's game, all 3 goals were scored in the first period, as the Jacks scored the first 2 tallies within 1 minute of another, before Alexandria cut Granite's lead to 1. The game winner scored by 06 Braden Willis, his 8th of the year. Saturday saw a few more goal horns, as Granite got the job done with a 4-3 victory. 4 different players found the back of the net for the Lumberjacks, highlighting their depth and scoring across the lineup all weekend. Now that we've wrapped up highlighting last week's games, let's take a look at what's expected to come in the weekend ahead. Starting things off out east, the Mountain Kings will head down to Massachusetts to take on the Generals, a huge 2 games in the East Division, as their series is currently tied up at 3 apiece. New Hampshire enters with momentum, having won the last 2 meetings just a few weeks ago, and they'll look to keep their winning streak alive after claiming victories in their last 3 games. Although New Hampshire's Cam Fampa isn't a regular on the score sheet, he stepped up huge in their last set of games, scoring 2 goals and adding an assist. He'll be a player to watch as he looks to build on that performance and contribute offensively once again for his team. In the Central, the first-place Power have been scorching hot, going 9-0-1 in their last 10 games, and are riding a 5-game win streak as they prepare for 2 massive games against the Woodsmen and Junior Blues. When you look at their previous meetings with St. Louis, it's pretty crazy to see that 5 out of 6 games have been decided in either overtime or a shootout. That includes their series just 2 weeks ago, where the Power managed to take both games in overtime. Will the Junior Blues finally get the job done and take down West Bend? Or will the Power continue their success against Matt Acello and his squad? In the Frontier, the Sabres have a huge weekend in store as they travel to Sheridan to take on the Hawks. Currently, teams 2 through 4 sit within 3 points of one another in the standings, meaning Badlands has the opportunity to jump the Hawks if they complete a weekend sweep. Badlands has posted a 5-0-0-1 record so far in January, their 1 loss coming in a 1-goal game against the top-ranked Bighorns, an impressive stretch for the Sabres as of late. After the Hawks were swept by Bozeman last weekend, Badlands aims to take advantage of their tough showing and secure a crucial 4 points, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Down south, the Ice Bats look to keep their momentum going as they host the Roadrunners for a 2-game series, Austin having won both of their previous matchups back in November. When taking a look at the score sheet from mid-November, 10 different players found the back of the net for the Ice Bats, including defenseman Ashton Morin, who recorded 2 goals and 3 assists over the 2 games. Despite being a defenseman, Morin has made an impact on both ends of the ice, ranking as the league's 3rd highest scoring D-man, recording at least 1 point or more in 8 of his last 10 games. If the Roadrunners hope to upset Austin, they're going to have to find a way to limit Morin from having another successful weekend. Finishing things up in the West, Mason City is looking to get back in the win column as they face off with the Moose. This game is crucial for Mason City as they're tied for 4th in the division with Wilmer, the 4th place team being the last to secure a playoff berth. Mason currently leads the series with Minnesota 3-2, though the Moose came out on top during their last meeting on November 23rd. With Minnesota arguably being the hottest team in the league, running a 9-game win streak, it'll be interesting to see how these two squads stack up against one another. As always, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to follow along the live stats and scores on our website and tune in live on NATV. See you next week!